Hello and welcome back to the Offensive Line. I'm your host Hanson, and today we have on this episode my friend Rennie, who is here to share about the question, what do you have that lasts? I think this is a very fun, interesting question, one in which I know Rennie uses quite often, sometimes in his evangelism. So if you don't mind sharing with us a little bit about how that goes, your thoughts why you use this question, and when was the last time you used this question?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I actually start with a prior question to this one, and that question is, what do you work for? What do you work towards?
You get 2 in 1 in this video.
Good deal. Yeah. And it's a good question to start with because everyone works for something. And in fact, a lot of people work very hard for a very long time to get something that they want. Highly motivated individuals, driven. So it's a good question to ask because everyone's working towards something. So the follow-up question then is, what do you have that's going to last? And I'd like to share a quick, fun story.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it's about a rich guy. He had like a ton of stuff, and then he died. So 2 of his friends came to his funeral, and then one of the friends said, you know, I want to just take this guy's stuff and keep it for myself and use it as my own. And his friend was like, well, you can't do that. That doesn't seem right. And the first guy says, don't worry, I'll write him a check for it. So the point of that story is, once someone's dead, they can't make use of their stuff anymore. They can't cash any more checks. Whatever they have is gone. It's not theirs to keep or use anymore. So what does the Bible have to say about this? In 1 Timothy chapter 6, Paul is writing to his spiritual son in the faith, his disciple Timothy. And in verse 7, he's saying that we have brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it either. And when we think about it in that way, that verse actually finds itself in the context of contentment and discontentment. And that's really the key here, because people are always looking for contentment, and they haven't found it, and so they're discontent. And when you think about the discontentment of it, it's because in the heart of everyone there's eternity. There's an intuitive understanding that death is not the end. There's something after death.
Yeah.
But they're confronted with the fact that if there's nothing that I can keep, why am I working towards anything? Or if I only can live my best life now, how do I make the most out of that? But when we think about it as a Christian, we can think in even the preceding verse. And that preceding verse is talking about contentment that's tied with godliness. And that's the key. Godliness is being able to recognize who God is and the grace that He provides, especially for the things that last. So as a Christian, I would respond and share that the things that last and the things that I'm able to hang on to are the things that last for eternity.
Yeah.
My salvation doesn't end once I die. Praise God for that. And the eternal rewards that I have are not lost after I die. They're eternal.
Yeah.
So, as it were, I'm playing for keeps in a way that the world doesn't understand. And it's quite a shock to people because they intuitively know they can't keep things after they die. So they want to know, what can I actually keep?
Yeah.
And that's just a great way to segue into the gospel at that point.
Yeah. No, that's interesting that you bring it up. I know, Rennie, that you work in a very academic environment, that right now you're preparing to maybe be in the PhD program at UC San Diego for biology. And I know that in that sort of environment that there's a lot of ambitious people, that are a lot of hardworking, a lot of intellectual people as well. A lot of people that might actually think that they have a lot of things that, you know, like their legacy or the monetary things, their family, all these different things that they would place their value in, right? So then it's really good question that you can ask in that environment, especially because so many of them have something that they think to themselves, I can keep this, this is something that might last, you know, even if I pass away, that this is something that will continue in my family. I think that kind of segues into my next question then, is how would you know, like, what are the specific indicators that would let you know to use this question? Because I'm sure that you've used other questions as well in your evangelism in the workplace or even outside of the workplace, but why would you use this specific question?
Yeah, like I was saying before, it's just a great icebreaker question. So right off the bat, because everyone's invested in something, they're striving towards whatever it is that they're striving towards. I think, like you were saying, Hanson, especially apt for individuals who find their identity and even their worth in a very specific pursuit like science or like academia. So especially useful with people on the UCSD campus.
Yeah.
Because they're all there for a major, they're working towards a degree, and even if you were to ask them, what are you going to do after they graduate, what kind of work they want to do, that question still stands. What can you still keep?
A fun question that I like to always ask the people who are on the offensive line when they're sharing about evangelism, when they would use this question, is as a way for the viewers to get to know you and for me to get to know you. I would say we know each other pretty well, but to just hear about some evangelism opportunities, recent ones that you've had, ways that we can be praying for you, and especially since you use this question quite often in the workplace or even outside the workplace, if you could describe to us an opportunity that you had to use this question and how that kind of conversation panned out.
Sure, yeah. So not too recent. This was before I got married and don't have roommates anymore except for my wife. But my old roommate, yeah, we talked about that and just the question, yeah, you're working so hard towards everything that you're doing right now, whether it's school, whether it's work, fame, recognition, money, financial security, good prospects for the future, a comfortable life, all these things. But again, what can you keep? You brought nothing into the world. Naked you came into the world. Naked you're going to depart. And you can see the gears turning in his head at that point.
Yeah.
Because he never thought about that life is going to end, but he never made plans for what comes after.
Yeah.
So at that point, I just transitioned to the gospel.
Yeah.
To think about what is eternal.
Yeah.
What will keep. And the fun thing about that conversation too is that everyone is going to be resurrected, either unto life eternal or to eternal condemnation, punishment. So one thing I even highlighted for him was the things that he was working towards right now is going to work against him in eternity. It's going to accrue him no profit, no gain. So why not spend the time now in a way that's going to affect your eternity, so that you can actually take hold of that which is life now, to not be rich in wealth, but rich in good works, and lay a good foundation for the future, as it says later in 1 Timothy.
And in Matthew 6.
Exactly,
right, yeah.
Exactly. But all of that is predicated, it starts with being reconciled to God.
Sure.
So that you can actually live a life that's glorifying to Him, and fulfill the purpose by which you were created. To glorify your Creator and to magnify His name and to make His name known. So I think that conversation stood out as well to both him and to myself, because just the way that I live, that there is a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning that is absent elsewhere, no matter how hard or how dedicated someone is. Because it's not necessarily working for my own glory or my own name's sake. Whatever I do, it's for my Lord.
Yeah.
So even that element it stands out as well.
Yeah. I'm just curious because a lot of our previous guests on the episodes were sharing about how their evangelism opportunities in the workplace or even outside of the workplace. But you shared about someone that you lived with before. And you don't live with them now because you're married and your roommate is your wife. And shout out to Cheryl. You didn't have that conversation like right before you moved out, right? It was earlier on. So how did that affect your relationship afterwards with you and two? Or is it just basically like he was just like, I don't really want anything to do with you? Or maybe he responded positively. How did that go?
Yeah, definitely kept the door open. Yeah, just more conversations down the line that we're able to have, and even just to check in on what thoughts that he had about the gospel. So hope to continue that. I mean, we're still friends on Facebook. So
Facebook, that's where real friendship is. Nice. Well, thank you, Rennie, for sharing, coming on to our channel and sharing with us about evangelism and how evangelism in your life and some tips for evangelism as well. Since you shared about evangelism, more of like a relational evangelism with someone that you actually see like every day or saw every day. If you liked what Rennie had to say, if you liked what we both had to say in our conversation, please leave a comment down below and let us know. You can always subscribe to our channel. Please give us a like on this video if you haven't yet already. We are the offensive line, and this season, Great Evangelists Ask Great Questions is the theme. And we'll see you next week.